Something smelled so weird last night, dude. I woke up
Last night?
Yeah, I woke up in the middle of the night, and it smelled like rotten.
Don't tell me that. Don't say that. Rotten? Eggs or meat?
Rotten fruit. I didn't remember that we set this up, so I ran into this. And it scared the shit out of me, and it was all dark.
Oh my god.
And then when I went in the kitchen, I turned on the light, and the light was flickering. And then I was like, this is weird. And I went to make sure the back door was shut, and it was open.
Stop.
I swear to God, dude.
Are you just saying this right now?
No, dude. I swear to God, I put it on Spinky and Alfie's life.
Oh my god. Okay, then what are we gonna do? We need to do like
I don't know.
Hey!
Hi.
Welcome back to our show.
Oh, welcome back.
My name is Kathy.
My name's Celeste.
And we missed you. We're so happy to be here. And I hope you're doing well. And today Celeste is going to be telling the story. So go get your little drink and let's get started.
Today I'm going to be telling you guys about the disappearance of Brian Shaffer. Brian Randall Shaffer was born on February 25th in 1979 to Randy and Renee Shaffer. Brian was the oldest, and he had a younger brother named Derek. And they grew up in the suburbs of Pinkerton, Ohio. They had a really good upbringing. It was just like a normal upbringing in the suburbs. You can imagine what that would be like. Their dad, Randy, was an electrician, and their mom, Renee, was a nurse. Growing up, Brian was really, really popular, and it was always really easy for him to make friends. And he was always known as being outgoing as well. He was also a star athlete, which is really cool. He played on his high school tennis team, and he was actually the captain. And a lot of people said that if he had tried to go professional, he would have made it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He graduated from Pinkerton High School in 1997, and he enrolled in Ohio State University for his undergraduate studies. And in the meantime, he was working at JCPenney. And then in 2002, he was like, I'm just gonna quit working altogether so I can focus on my studies. 6 years after enrolling is when he graduated with a bachelor's in microbiology. After graduation, he began working at Ohio State University Hospital as a radiology tech assistant. During that time, he kind of had a career change, decided that he might want to be a doctor.
Oh.
After a short break from school, he joined the Ohio State University College of Medicine in 2004.
Wow, he's so smart. He seems like he has literally everything going for him.
Yeah.
Like he's handsome, smart, kind,
tall, yeah,
popular,
muscular,
good family life.
and
muscular.
Muscles have been on the brain.
Yeah. Can you tell we've been working out?
He was described as an honest and loyal worker. When he was committed to something, he would stick to it, and like it was no different when it came to his academic studies. He just excelled. But his dream was to become a musician. He was like a really talented musician. He loved to play the guitar. He loved Jimmy Buffett, and his favorite band was Pearl Jam, and he even got the Pearl Jam logo tattooed on his arm. At a concert in 2006, a girl named Alexis Wagner saw him, and she thought that he was cute. Brian called her and asked her if she wanted to go out for dinner and study, and from there they began dating. They were actually in the same medical class for 2 years, but they hadn't really spoken before.
Wow.
And so it was kind of interesting that they were like on the same course as far as life paths went. Like they both wanted to be doctors, and like they just clicked really well.
That's so cute. That's cute that they were like in the same space before they became together. Like the string theory, have you heard about that? It's like where the world pulls you to your person before you meet them, so you'll like be in the same space well before you're meant to be together.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. From the moment they started dating, they were inseparable, and they just supported each other a lot through med school and stuff. It was a lot of work for both of them, but he was dedicated. He was dedicated to her, and he was dedicated to school, and so he make it work with her. you know? And she did the same. It was equal. Brian was really, really close with his mom, Renee. She was diagnosed with myelodysplastic syndrome, which is a type of cancer.
Oh.
And this type of cancer is really aggressive. It took a toll on her really quickly after she was diagnosed. And despite support from her family and treatment, she passed away in March of 2006.
Oh.
And here's a picture of Brian with his parents.
Oh, they're so sweet.
Renee's death, like, obviously took a huge toll on the family, especially Randy's dad. Like, he took it really hard. Brian really took on the responsibility of taking care of his family, you know? Like, he felt a responsibility to show up for his dad and his brother. Despite showing up for them, like, he was deeply heartbroken himself because, like, he was really close with his mom, you know?
Yeah.
And this is a message that he left on his MySpace page. He just said, "My mom was the greatest, most wonderful person in the world." Like, obviously, he was having a really hard time with this. Even though he tried to, like, kind of put on a brave face for his family and his friends, like, he was crushed inside.
Yeah.
He started having doubts about his relationship with Alexis. He started having insecurities come up.
That really sucks.
I think he was just having a really hard time, and he suggested that, like, maybe she would be happier if she just started dating someone else. She was like, "I disagree." And she stuck by him and, like, just helped him cope with the loss of his mother, you know?
That's so sweet. Just on both ends, for him to be selfless and be like, "I can't love you the way you deserve," and her being like, "I'm gonna show up for you."
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
sweet.
It's really sweet. Because Alexis stuck by him through that, Brian and Alexis's friends and family all thought that, like, their relationship was getting pretty serious, you know? Like, maybe a proposal would be coming up soon.
Wow, yeah.
Before Renee passed away, she actually gave Brian 2 tickets to Miami for him and Alexis to go for spring break. So once their spring break at school would start, they could just take a break and go to spring break together and enjoy Miami.
Love that.
To fly out on Monday, April 3rd, 2006, after they completed their exams. Friends and family were convinced that this was the trip where Brian would be proposing to Alexis.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so it was a big deal. On Friday, March 31st, 2006, classes ended, and after weeks of preparing for exams, at this point he was surviving on minimal sleep and stress because, like, he had just lost his mom. Like, he made plans with Alexis to meet back up at his place on Sunday the 27th so that they could leave together on Monday. She decided that she was gonna go home and visit her parents before they headed out, so she went to Toledo, Ohio to, like, say goodbye to her parents, basically. And after his last class, Brian met his dad for dinner. And, like, it was a nice steak dinner. They went to Outback Steakhouse. It was kind of like a celebration dinner, you know, before spring break. And throughout the dinner, like, Randy, Brian's dad, was, like, expressing his grief. He was actually crying at the table at one point, and Brian was like, "I'm gonna support you through this. We're gonna get through this as a family, like, and I'll be there."
I'm sorry, I can tell this is gonna break my heart.
Yeah, basically he was just like, I'll support you, you know?
Yeah.
And as their dinner wrapped up, Brian told his dad that he was gonna go out that night and celebrate with his friends, because it was like, he's gonna go on vacation with his girlfriend, so he's not gonna see his friends all spring break. He's like, he kind of wants to do, like, one last hurrah with his buddies, you know?
Yeah.
Just to, like, kick it off. He told his dad that he would call him tomorrow, and his dad had reservations about Brian going out that night because he knew that Brian was tired, but he kept his reservations to himself because he felt like Brian could handle himself. Like, he felt like Brian was responsible, you know?
Yeah.
Earlier in the day, Brian had made plans with a friend of his named William Clint Florence. That was the friend that Brian was going to be going out with that night. They planned to go to a bar called the Ugly Tuna Saloona, and
that's a good name.
Yeah, and it was a really popular bar amongst the college students in that area. It was part of this, like, little shopping mall thing, and it was called the Gateway, and yeah, it just had a bunch of bars there, and, like, it was a hot spot for all, like, the college kids, basically.
Oh my god, okay.
And on this night, Brian had invited his brother Derek to come join him and his friend for drinks, but was at a comedy show with his girlfriend, and so he couldn't meet up with him that night. But they decided to still go out and have a good time. But at around 10 p.m., Brian called Alexis and just confirmed, their plans for Monday or their plans for Sunday. Like, basically just talked to each other. He said that he missed her and he was looking forward to seeing her. And she was like, just stay safe and, like, give me a call tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, okay. He was excited to call her tomorrow because she was, like, going to bed and she didn't really want to talk, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was, like, looking forward to giving her a call. Clint and Brian decided that they were going to go bar hopping.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was really busy that night, like, in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And so a bunch of college kids were in the area, so they just wanted to, like, go out and see, go out on the town.
Yeah.
So the plan was to go bar hopping for a bit and then go back to the Ugly Tuna Saloon.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what they did. They met one of their other friends named Meredith. They went to a bar called the Short North and met up with Clint's friend named Meredith Reed. The two of them were kind of like a thing, but they, like, never made it, like, explicitly, like, serious or anything. And, like, some people have said that those are just allegations. So, who knows?
Okay. Like a potential situationship.
Yeah, or, like, allegations on her part, and he's, like, denied that they ever had a thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And at almost midnight, after bar hopping all night, the three of them go back to the Ugly Tuna Saloon. They're like, let's have a couple more drinks and then, like, let's head out, because at this point, it's pretty late,
Mm-hmm.
And so Brian, at one point, gets separated from Meredith and Clint. I think that maybe he just went to grab a drink or something, but, like, he just doesn't come back. And so they start calling his phone, but he's not picking up. The time is creeping, and it's almost 2 a.m. now.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and they can't find him anywhere. And so they're searching for him at this point with the lights on, but because people are filtering out of the bar, they're like, why don't we go outside in case he starts, like, coming out, because there's no way to exit the bar except the entrance at the front.
Oh, okay.
So they're like, let's wait for him in the front and see if he comes out. And he never does. Yeah, he never comes out. And so they're like, I guess he left. And so they're calling his phone. He's not picking up. They're like, let's go check his apartment. And so they go to his apartment and he's not there. Randy placed a number of calls to Brian's phone in hopes of reaching him, but he couldn't get a hold of him at all.
Damn.
Yeah. And then Alexis tried calling him, obviously, and she couldn't get a hold of him either.
That's so stressful.
Yeah, and she was heading back to Toledo that Saturday, and she was like, I'm just gonna go, like, over to his house and I'll just wait for him there. And his brother, like, thought that he was just drunk or something. Like, he was like, oh, he's probably just passed out somewhere. Don't worry, like, he'll show up, Like, basically, no one thought that he would just disappear. Everyone was like, he'll come home. And also, he's, like, this tall, athletic guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's literally, like, 6'7". Like, you don't just go missing.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Especially when you had plans. I mean, that's insane. He was about to leave on a trip with his girlfriend. He just lost his mom, so he's wanting to be there for his dad. There's no reason why he would just up and leave.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, like, she knows something's wrong, and she calls Randy, and Randy's like, okay, and he ends up going to Brian's apartment, and obviously Brian's not there. And so at that point, he decides he's gonna call the police.
Oh my God, okay.
So it's already Monday, and as we know,
the first 48 hours are the most crucial.
It kind of, like, because nobody called sooner, they kind of lost a big chunk of time that they could have used looking for him.
That's frustrating, but they didn't know.
Yeah, and it's like, how would you know?
How could they possibly know? He's a good kid with no previous record of going missing, so why would they freak out?
Yeah, exactly. And he can defend himself.
Yeah, and he's and he's huge and he plays sports, so it's not like anybody's worried about him.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was April 1st, Derek thought that maybe his brother was playing some kind of April Fool's Day joke.
Oh, yeah.
I think he just thought there was no way that Brian would go missing,
Yeah.
He just kept thinking about all of the possibilities of what Brian could be doing, what he could be up to, that didn't involve him going missing, you know?
Yeah.
Which I completely understand, because I feel like if that happened to you, like if you went missing, I feel like I would just be like, no. You know, like,
yeah.
I feel like I would not want to believe it.
It would drive me crazy. I'm sure I would be in denial.
Yeah. The police began their search, and Alexis stayed at Brian's house, like his apartment, during the search in case he came home.
Yeah.
The police checked hospitals and shelters, but they couldn't find anyone that matched his description. And then local media ended up picking up his story, and they started posting like posters all over town. But he still isn't turning up. And so Alexis starts reaching out to people on MySpace. But again, like, she just isn't able to find anything that leads her back to Brian.
That's so frustrating.
The last place that Brian was seen was the Ugly Tuna Saloona. So the police are like, let's retrace his steps and go back there and see what we can find. The way that it's set up is there's an escalator that goes up, and there's no way to get out of the bar. So you have to go down, like, out the front and down the escalator. There is a service door at the back of the bar, but it's not a regularly used door.
Yeah, it's not
like
really accessible.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The police try to dig up some information and see what they can find about the Ugly Tuna, and they do find that the area had a lot of crime. In fact, Columbus, like, at the time, had the most security cameras than any other city in Ohio.
Oh my god.
And because of this, it turned out that the building had a lot of security cameras. And so this is like a jackpot for investigators, because it means that they can track his steps, right?
Yeah.
Like, they can figure out where he's at easily.
Yeah.
No problem, right?
You would think.
Right. Yeah. But when they look at the footage, they're absolutely puzzled, because they see on the footage Brian going in the bar, but there's no footage of him coming out of the bar.
What the
Yeah.
That literally can't be. Somebody must have deleted it.
The footage wasn't altered at all. It was just a straight...
Like a stream. Just like a constant stream.
A constant stream. Yeah. They see at 1:15 a.m. that Brian, Meredith, and Clint go into the bar. And the footage shows them going up the escalator and through the entrance. And, like, on the camera, they can see that Brian's cheerful. He's happy. He's in good spirits. Everything appears to be normal. And then at 1:55 a.m., they show Brian outside of the bar talking to some girls. 2 girls, like, his age. Then he goes back inside the bar, but then he never comes out. Yeah, he never comes back out.
That's crazy.
The police continue to watch the footage, but Brian is never seen leaving the bar. They see people filtering in and out, but no Brian. The footage is reviewed over and over, like they rewind it over and over and over. They, like, look at every single person and they can't see him. One of the cameras that was at the bar panned back and forth like this, but it's, even if someone was, like, walking by, like, no matter what, like, the camera would still catch the person at some point.
Yeah.
They had another camera that was pointed in another direction. So it's like one was going like this and one was going like that. So it's like they, like, can't see him on the footage at all.
That's crazy.
And then there was the service door in the back of the bar. But at the time, the area behind had some really intense construction going on, which made it so that it would have been nearly impossible for an inebriated person like Brian to try and walk through there without causing a disturbance.
Yeah.
And on top of that, there were cameras back there. So if he did get back there, he would have been caught on camera.
That's crazy.
The investigators looked so thoroughly through the footage that every single person at the bar that night could be accounted for. That ruled out the possibility of Brian putting on a disguise and walking out.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question.
Yeah.
Whoa, dude, that's crazy.
And they checked the footage from the other bars and, like, the businesses from behind that service door.
Oh, yeah.
And he wasn't on any of the footage. Again.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, so basically he just vanished. Like, he just completely disappeared out of thin air. And, like, there's just no explanation for where he went. And a lot of people think that maybe Meredith and Clint could be involved in Brian's disappearance, because at first both of them were really compliant with the police.
Mm-hmm.
But then they asked Meredith and Clint to do a lie detector test, and Meredith agreed, and Clint, he disagreed.
Why would he disagree?
Being questioned by police, he decided to get a lawyer, and they most likely advised him against getting a lie detector test because a lot of people think that polygraph tests can't be used in court, like, or that they aren't considered accurate, which I do understand, because it's like, you know, anything can, if you have anxiety, it can physically make your heart rate go up.
Yeah.
And it's like a blood pressure thing. Like, people have to take blood pressure medication for it. If you weren't guilty, but you had anxiety because someone's screaming in your face, like, it's possible that it could show that you're lying.
Yeah,
you know?
that's fair.
So, I don't know. A lot of people think that it's inconclusive in court, but I do think that it can be helpful. I understand why people think it's inconclusive.
Yeah, I feel like it feels a little sketchy, to be honest. Like, if it's like your friend that went, I understand the anxiety thing, like how a lot of people think it's not always accurate, like a polygraph test, valid.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, it's like Meredith agreed, and they were together the whole night.
Why would Meredith and Clint want to harm him? And how would they if there's no footage of him leaving?
Exactly, and wouldn't there be footage of Meredith and Clint?
Yeah, not just Clint.
Being aggressive at some point with
Yeah.
him, or like anything? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's most likely the reason why his lawyer suggested against it. But other people were questioned, including Brian's family. And the two women that Brian spoke to outside of the bar, they were never asked to give a polygraph test. It's like, what if they were involved?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They were never asked. In
That's crazy.
Yeah. In 2009, they were tracked down, and they stated that they were never asked.
Wow.
However, investigators think that it's possible that Brian maybe ran away, and some people theorize that maybe that's why Clint didn't take the polygraph test, because if he was covering for his friend, then he would be like, well, I'm gonna fail because I'm lying. You know? So people think that that is a possibility.
I feel like if he did want to run away for some weird reason that doesn't match up with his life, there's already so much pain caused by his mother's death that I don't think he would put his dad through that, or his girlfriend, or his friends.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think too. Yeah, and Derek, Brian's brother, always had a weird feeling about Clint. Like, he didn't really like him. He said that when they would like hang out together, like, he always felt like Clint had a weird vibe.
Ooh.
So that's a little weird. It could be he just didn't like him, or it could be that he personally, I don't know, had other reasons. But he said that he did say that Clint was speaking badly about Brian at some point after Brian had already gone missing. So that's a little weird.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
And some people think that he could have been robbed or mugged inside the bar or outside the bar, and then like the employees hid his body.
Oh.
Or maybe it was like, I don't know, someone outside. Like, maybe he went back through that service door to try to go home for some reason and got mugged on the way out. But again, like, he most likely would have been caught on camera if he went through that service door.
Yeah.
And it would have been really difficult for him.
Yeah, because he was intoxicated too.
Yeah.
That is so strange.
And the other theory that people have is the smiley face killer or killers, due to the possibility that there are maybe more than one. But usually they would go for like white college age men who were athletic and popular and were out drinking with friends. And there were the men were usually like found drowned in a body of water near smiley face graffiti. And so people think that maybe that's a possibility, but other people think that that's not a possibility. In fact, like, there's a big group of people who think that the smiley face killer theory in general, it doesn't like make sense. So yeah, who knows?
Jeez.
Yeah, but whether he ran away or something worse happened, it's clear that he vanished, and like the CCTV cameras didn't pick up anything in the area, which is bizarre.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they never found any of Brian's personal items. And like, at one point,
that's crazy.
Yeah, and at one point they had over 50 officers searching for him, retracing his steps, going to his apartment, like following his normal routes that he would like go down for work and school.
Yeah.
And they couldn't find a trace of him. He must have had at least his wallet on him that night, and they never were able to recover any of his personal items.
Wow.
Yeah, which is wild.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. And Brian's dad did everything he could to find his son. Like, he searched and searched, and he followed every single route like he could to try and find his son, until 2008, when tragically there was a windstorm and he was out in his front yard cleaning like the debris, and he got hit by a branch that was in the windstorm, and it struck him and he died instantly. And he wasn't found until the next morning.
Wow.
Yeah. And there was an online obituary where people could leave their comments with their condolences, and someone commented saying, "Dad, I love you." And the message was tagged in the Virgin Islands, and the police were like, oh, okay, maybe it's Brian. So they traced it, and it just led to a local library computer in Ohio. So
in Ohio?
Yeah. So it was most likely a prank, because that's where Brian was from.
Yeah.
It was just like a public library. And if Brian was in Ohio, they would have been able to find him in Ohio by now.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah.
What a cruel thing for somebody to do.
I know.
People are so twisted. Like, Jesus Christ.
I know. Yeah, and Alexis called Brian's phone for a year, but he never picked up, and so eventually she stopped. 3 years after his disappearance, she ended up getting married, and she now has 2 kids, and she's an OBGYN and has her own practice.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Yeah, so she's doing really well. And Derek is the last living member of his family, because his mom passed, his dad passed, and his brother is missing. And he still lives in Ohio, and he's still looking for his brother. So if you have any tips or anything, like, we'll leave a missing poster right here. And the last little bit I have about him is in 2020, an internet photo went viral on the internet saying that this could be Brian. It was a houseless man in Tijuana, Mexico, and people were convinced that it was him. Here's a picture. It does look like him, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
But after police used FBI facial recognition technology, they were able to determine that it wasn't him. Yeah,
that's
Brian's
so sad.
Yeah, Brian's still missing to this day. So he could still be out there. So if you have any information or any clues, like, please call the number and help out, because his brother needs him. So yeah, and that is the disappearance of Brian Shaffer.
Man, that one was sad. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you for sitting with us today and talking about Brian's story. And if you want to hear more stories like this, please subscribe and feel free to like this video, and we'll be back with more soon.
Yes, we will. Have a good day. We love you.
Love you.